Previously recorded in partnership with Rice Public Television and Channel 9 from a small conference room inside Crocker Galleria in downtown San Francisco. It's The Toy Box.
Welcome. I have a collection of toys, and me and Vincent were able to look at the toys, decide some of our 10 favorites, and kind of give them backstories, give them names, and then we'll kind of decide what we like, or we might just talk about them, and then some of them will be on my wall and they'll rotate through because I just installed a new wall display, so I'm excited to put these toys on it. Alright, so let's begin and start talking about these toys.
Alrighty. I actually named him Alexander Williams. He's actually the captain of a spaceship called the USS Starhawk. So he's actually part of the galactic government, and they sent his patrol craft to Mars to put down a rebellion of miners. And during the way on Mars, his crew got ambushed by these miners, and his entire everyone died in his crew. He did manage to survive, which was good, but he was severely wounded in this attack. So thankfully he was patched up by the local doctor, which, as you can see, he's half human and kind of half cyborg.
Wow.
But because he was, he wanted to know, he was so angry that he attacked a local communication station, and he actually found out that the government on Mars actually, they purposely didn't come to his rescue because they wanted to use the death of his crew as a reason to further persecute and suppress these rebels using as much force as possible. And after he found this out, he actually joined the rebels and dedicated his life to fighting against the colonial government of Mars. And and he's actually one of the most wanted men in the entire solar system. I think his bounty was about, $50 million. So it was, he's definitely a very infamous. Whoever can turn him and capture him alive is going to get that $50 million.
That's incredible. Wow.
Yeah. If I could just jump into this gentleman.
Find him.
He looks like a Rambo or something like that.
Yeah.
But my number 10. Well, I wanted to call this. I remember this guy. His name. His name is pretty simple. It's just Horace. His name is just Horace. And he's actually a very famous, infamous, should I say, space pirate.
Horace.
Yeah, look at that.
Can I see?
Yeah, go on ahead.
Thank you.
So Horace, he was orphaned at a young age, so he actually began his pirating career very young. He was actually a deckhand on a very feared pirate vessel called the Black Hand. But once he got older and he got the funds, he secured his own release and bought his own ship, which he named the Archangel. And he became a very famous pirate because, due to his tenacity and his sheer determination, he looted over 100 merchant vessels. And he also kidnapped the lieutenant governor of the planet Ganymede. Sorry, not the planet.
That many vessels?
There's definitely more, but he did in such a short period of time. That's why he's become so famous amongst the pirating community, if you could call that the pirating community. So even though he's brash and aggressive and loudmouthed, his crew actually, people tolerate him because he has a wealth of experience in pirating. So he's always
He's very in command.
Oh, definitely.
In command.
He's been hounding the trade lanes between Saturn and Jupiter for the past 12 a dozen years or so.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
definitely a lot of experience in the field. So
Yeah.
which makes him very.
I can't imagine his lifestyle.
Yeah. Did you have him on your list?
No, he didn't make my list.
Didn't make the cut, huh?
No, he didn't. He didn't make the cut.
And very high standards.
I know. He was close. He was close. But I'll tell you who else beat him out though.
All right.
So right here. I call him Schultzstaffel, or
The SS, they
you're
were-
such a historian.
They were started off as the Hitler's personal bodyguard, and then eventually they turned into they were Hitler's bodyguard, and they eventually became a conventional military force who fought alongside the Wehrmacht in World War II. And after the war was over, they were labeled a criminal organization.
I love deferring to your historical knowledge, Vincent. This is so in 1944 he was a SS guard at and he was patrolling a extermination camp, and after witnessing so many crimes against humanity, he just went insane, and he drove his motorcycle straight into a Nazi gas chamber, and as they were sealing the chamber, he just plowed right in, ran and killed a few people, killed a small child and family, but he also wanted to die himself. But instead of dying, he
Like a martyr.
Yeah, he screamed and told them to close the chamber, and they sealed the chamber. And then instead of dying, he emerges in this new neon SS jacket with this big shield. So his full name is actually SS Deliverance, and this is the shield of deliverance. And as you can see,
That is a shield of deliverance. I love that name.
And he just roamed the entire Eastern Front and into Poland and Austria throughout World War II, and liberated many.
Wow, single-handedly.
Yeah,
That's quite exceptional.
Yeah. So this is SS Deliverance. Was he on your list?
He didn't make the cut because unfortunately I didn't realize that was like a motorbike. I thought it was just a person with a shield. So, unfortunately I was a bit.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I should have sent you better quality pictures. That's my fault.
Unfortunately, I was just perplexed.
Yeah. Are you anti-Semite?
Okay. No, I'm not. Wow. Unless by anti-Semite you mean wanting justice and equal human rights for Palestinians, then I don't know. Some people would say I'm an anti-Semite if you want human rights and justice for the Palestinian people and giving them and offering them dignity and respect, but I don't know, man. It's rough out there.
Yeah. I feel like you're on the red side of history, Vincent. I'll leave it at that.
I don't know what he's saying. Let's do this guy, who I originally thought was a butler, but
Oh, okay. He was on my list too.
Butler.
Let's go into that. Yeah.
let's go into that. Great. Two birds with one stone.
He's got a corn on the cob, right?
Corn on the cob. Wow.
Oh,
I
and
didn't-
did you know that you can actually, if you move this arm, this arm,
Whoa.
he turns into a proper butler.
I didn't realize that.
And this arm back. to
Wow.
William. Yeah.
That's actually quite neat. I actually didn't know he was holding corn on the cob. I wasn't exactly sure what that was.
Once again, that's my fault.
But I named this. I originally thought you would look at it as he was a butler, but I decided to spice things up give him a little, raise the prestige level a little bit. And they called him, just to give him a little fancy name, his name is Luther Montague.
Oh, wow.
And he's actually the president of the Galactic Federation. And that's the governing body of the Milky Way galaxy and some other, associated planets. But he was born into wealth and privilege. So on Earth, he was the chairman of Montague Incorporated, which is a huge property investment firm, and that's how he, became like a bajillionaire, whatever is above billions and trillions, just an astronomical amount of
galactic currency too.
Oh, definitely. I mean, so he got super rich. Then he decided to go into politics. He decided to join the Galactic Senate. And then, he just rose on the ranks and he was elected as the president.
Yeah.
And, when someone sees his speeches, when someone hears his speeches, he's definitely really charismatic.
Yeah.
But he actually has a very network of very loyal supporters because he actually gives these contracts to mineral rights and property to all these big wig executives.
Yeah.
And the businessmen love him because they're profiting from all this and from open markets throughout the galaxy.
Yeah.
But obviously he's hated by the common man. So there's actually been some serious rebellions throughout the galaxy because of his policies.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, because he is the president of the Galactic Federation, he controls a large and powerful military who've brutally suppressed these rebellions. So
almost like a Clinton as far as attitude towards global economy.
Yeah, you can say he's a globalist, but in this case, it's throughout the galaxy.
A galacticalist.
Yeah. He's like a Macron.
Yeah.
President Macron, but of space. So, but I heard that he's on your list. So definitely.
I have
pass the torch.
I have him at 7.
Okay.
I call him Cobb the Butler.
Cobb.
So he doesn't. He's not. It's different than yours. He doesn't come from a line of privilege. I would say his childhood was rather traumatic. He lived in a farm in Nebraska, a working class family of farmers, and he just wandered out into the cornfields for what seemed to be forever. His family was never able to find him in those fields, and he was presumed to be dead as a toddler. But he actually survived and just ate a diet of raw corn for his entire life, and grew into adulthood just purely on raw corn.
Is that safe, raw corn?
I guess given the results we have here, I would say it's not that safe or ideal. He was a healthy boy, and his skin is now lime green, and it's like kind of like his head and skin is kind of like the husk of a corn. Or like if you've seen like a banana when it's unripe and it's green and it's smooth and it hasn't really opened up yet. So he's kind of like a unripened corn husk. And you would think that these are his eyes, these yellow dots, but these are actually just kernels of corn popping out of his head.
So he's become has his like DNA, like his biological structure, did it get infused with corn or something? Did he go to the University of Nebraska? Because I believe they're the Cornhuskers. Did he ever get a chance to go to college?
He didn't get a chance to go to college, unfortunately, just because he was kind of lost in the fields for most of his adult life.
Is that like literally lost in the fields, or is that like a metaphor? Physically
and mentally, he just. It's like a dependency, I guess. your body gets accustomed to a certain diet, and then you just never leave, and then it kind of hijacks your mind, and you never want to return to society. But eventually he did. He like over time, more kernels will emerge, and he'll just be covered in yellow kernels from head to toe, and then he'll just be a full corn on the cob. And eventually he was found, though, and taken in as a butler at the University of Nebraska. He wasn't a student there, unfortunately. He was just full-time serving a bioengineering scientist there. And this guy has this top-secret defense contract with the U.S. government, and he's just researching his body for the sake of biological warfare. But he's has a place to live.
Biological warfare.
He's got all kinds of raw corn at the university, and variety too, because when you're a bioengineer, you can kind of manipulate the corn and kind of give him a little something more interesting instead of eating the same corn for his entire life. Different flavors, different strands. So he's happy there.
So he's clarify if I'm mistaken. So he's part of the research team, or he's the subject of the research?
He's the subject of the research, but he's also kind of there to serve he's part of the team in a assisting role, but also just being researched simultaneously. It's a weird, strange position, and I think he is a little conflicted about the morality of it all, and then also his life, his identity, what he wants to make of it. It's sad.
Wow. Well, I'm glad there's some stability in his life instead of previously wandering the fields of corn. And
Yeah.
at least this would hopefully give him a measure of stability in his life.
Yeah, and be able to interact and have conversation instead of just
College environment.
instead of just maybe telling stories, like how they tell stories based on constellations, like the patterns of the kernels on a corn. But now we can actually
That's
talk.
That's quite a feat, actually.
Yeah, I do have an astrology one if you want to go into that too.